The Jaguars went 7-6 last year. They won the 68 Ventures Bowl. They opened their 2024 season August the 31st at home against North Texas. They're represented today by head coach Major Applewhite and by student athletes Jamaal Pritchett, a senior wide receiver from Jackson, Alabama, and Wy'Kevious Thomas, redshirt senior defensive lineman from Riverdale, Georgia. We'll begin with opening remarks from Coach Applewhite, and after that we'll take questions both for Coach and for the student athletes. Coach?
Thank you. Good afternoon, distinguished members of the press. How are we doing? Great. Outstanding. Glad to be here. Just want to first start off with several thanks. Jamaal, Bubba, and I have had a great time here over the last 24 hours. I want to thank Commissioner Gill, Travis Llewellyn with the league for making it a great time for us. Obviously, I want to thank our SID, Tyler Roper, for taking care of everything for us. Make sure you get a public acknowledgement for making it a fun time for us. But also, before we get going into South Alabama football, I want to make sure I thank our administration, starting off with President Bonner and Dr. Andy Kent, providing the vision for our university and where South Alabama is headed on campus. And there's a lot of exciting things that I'm glad to be a part of since they've honored me with the opportunity to be the head football coach. And then that vision extended down to the athletic department with Dr. Joel Urban, who's here in attendance today, allowing us, giving us the resources and things that we need to go be champions and go chase championships. So I'm very excited about our leadership on campus. And that leadership extends into our locker room. So I want to introduce a couple guys that, it's a shame that we can't bring more than two because we do have more. But these are guys that over the last 3 years, whether offense or defensive side of the ball, I've had a chance to experience, be around them, see the character, the integrity, the day-to-day operation, the consistency, the level of production, and just the overall great guy vibe that you get from both of these players. And you start off with both of them college graduates, already graduated, but Jamaal Pritchett, a local native who started over at Tuskegee, transferred back from Jackson, Alabama, which is about 40, 50 miles north of our campus. Came back as a walk-on and quickly within a year and a half not only earned a scholarship but earned a starting position, and then quite honestly could have been the MVP of the bowl game this past year. But really joy coaching him. We all have those people that we work with that when you open the doors in the morning, no matter how you feel, you know you've got somebody you can always hang your hat on, you count on. Love that about Jamaal and have enjoyed coaching him the last couple of years. Bubba is a guy who has destroyed our practices for the last 3 years. When I was an offensive coordinator, it made life a living nightmare for me during practice, but I like him on Saturdays. But another guy who is highly productive in the classroom, has his degree, will be drafted next April in the National Football League, and has a sense of loyalty to our program. And South Alabama, as we know in this portal world, has had a lot of options and has decided to stay here with his team. So very blessed that these are our two representatives here. Very excited about our program and the other players that are at home that had a workout this morning. And we'll put the ball down next Wednesday and we'll start practice and we're ready to go. So thank you all for having us. We're excited to be here and we're ready to get going this season. So we'll open up for any questions.
We'll open up the floor for questions for all you media members in attendance. Please raise your hand for any questions. A microphone will be brought to you. For those of you joining us on Zoom, please remain on mute. Type your questions into the chat and we'll read those in the room. And Coach, we have a Zoom question quickly for you. Your team has a reputation of being a very good offensive team over the last few years, but you also held opponents last year under 21 points a game. How has your defense looked so far in the offseason?
Well, I know I've been a part of the offense the last 3 years, but we've won games on defense the last 3 years. We've been a top 25 defense. We've had some good offenses, and we've had some good ball games, and we've shown up and we've played, and we've obviously helped ourselves win 10 games in 22 and go to a bowl game and win it last year and scored 50, 60-something points in the bowl game. But I've always understood that you win championships with great defense. An offense is entertaining and it's fun, but you win with great defense. And this spring we've lost some key components. Yam Banks to Ole Miss, Cuddy Robertson to Arkansas, and Khalil Jacobs to Missouri. Those are three guys that have made a lot of plays for us. But it's time to step up. It's football. It doesn't matter what sport you play. It's next man up mentality. And a lot of times in our lives, we think we've lost something, and we find something that's maybe even more special. So I think that's an opportunity and a blessing for some of these guys to come in and fill those roles.
And to ask Wy'Kevious the same question, how do you feel the defense has looked so far in the offseason?
I feel that we were looking pretty good. We're just sticking to everybody trying to figure out that it's important to do your job and do your 111. And, the importance of fundamentals and technique and being technical sound. And so with everybody doing their job, we're going to have success.
Emmanuel Pappas, Sunbelt Conference. Coach, just talking about the offense, of course, you've been able to really work with and tailor this offense the past few years, now stepping into the head coaching role. As you transition with a new quarterback, what are some of the things that have stood out in the spring and the summer that have really impressed you about the offensive side of the ball and what you're most looking forward to this season?
The things that have impressed me the most on that side of the ball is the level of experience. You know, there's a lot more know-how coming back in spring ball. More guys at the wide receiver position, the running back position, tight end position that have played significant snaps. You know, that's encouraging seeing that. So that usually lends to better execution because there's, you know, less nervousness and performance anxiety and those type of things. So there's a lot of snaps being taken. So that excites me about that side of the ball. With a new quarterback, you know, with Gio and Bishop and Jared Hollins playing the quarterback position, you know, your offense is naturally going to shift the direction towards the guy that's holding the ball. So what he can do is what we're going to feature. And I'm excited about the work our quarterbacks have had during the spring. I think Coach Ezell, Rob, has done a great job with them this spring. And we just need to continue to build on that once we set the ball down next Wednesday. But, you know, plays and scheme are one thing and style of play is different. And that's really what we focus more on the spring, regardless of the side of the ball, was, you know, relying on basic fundamentals, strain to finish, and playing through adversity. And that's going to help you whether you're playing offense, defense, special teams, more of the intangibles than kind of some of the schematics. Yep.
We've got another Zoom question for Coach. Similar to what we just talked about a few moments ago, your team gave up only 2 touchdowns or less in 3 of the last 4 games you played this year, but you had some losses defensively. Who have you seen that has stepped in to fill some of those holes?
Yeah, you know, let's just look at the positions. We got a host of guys that have played the nickel position for Yam, Ladarius Webb, Jordan Scruggs. There's a bunch of guys, Chris Wallace, Trent Singleton, Brian Dillard. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have all played those positions. From a Wolf outside linebacker standpoint, you know, Quentin Wilfon's gone, but Akeel Washington has come in. Courtney McBride has done a great job. At the end of the day, we haven't played anybody. We've practiced, you know, so we've got a lot of guys that look good in, you know, thudded up practices and things like that, controlled situations. They look good in the weight room. So, and they're doing the right things. They're working really hard. I'm expecting great things. I'm just ready to actually see it so I can truly comment on it.
We got another Zoom question. This is for Jamaal and Wy'Kevious. College football 25, the game is out. Who on your team is the best so far, and how has that been to play amongst your other teammates and guys in the locker room?
The highest rated overall player on the team is Jaden Voisin. But it's just been real fun, to play with my teammates on the game and actually being in the game, like a dream come true. So I enjoy playing the game a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely been a great experience, you know, seeing our team on the game. But me personally, I opted in late, so I'm not on the game yet. So
they don't have him in the game yet. They've got to update it, get him in the game. He made all conference, right? You'd think he'd be in there.
And I want to ask you one thing from that, Coach. You were in that game a long time ago. What was that experience like, and how gratifying is it to see that the game is back?
That's what I was talking to one of my former teammates. We had some bitter rivalries, and there were some words exchanged the other day on the phone. But that's really what I'm excited about these guys. You know, that they have this, you know, this opportunity as college players. That's what you're doing in the dorm. That's what you're doing in the during the fall camp time period. Is if you're not in there studying, learning plays, and working out and practicing with your coach, you're usually in there resting, recouping, playing EA Sports college football. It's a lot of fun. So I think it's a great part of our game. It's just another way to grow our game.
Kevin Foote, Acadiana Advocate. Coach, y'all had some really great wins and I'm sure some frustrating losses last year. What's been the off-season focus to kind of stay more in the middle there and not so up and down?
Well, we talked a little bit about what we mentioned in spring in terms of fundamentals, straining to finish, playing through adversity. And I think the last one is really, you know, there's a couple games that come to mind, not to mention them specifically, but just fighting through some of the adversity or early success and not letting things slide away at the end that could have changed the win-loss record. But boils down to one thing, it's being more consistent. So trying to be consistent as a head coach for my staff, trying to get our staff to where we have consistent routines for our players so they can hang their hat on it. Not trying to have a lot of talking points and a lot of different messages, just trying to find things that can help guys win ball games that they can hang their hat on, things that truly matter, you know, in terms of their habits, their off-season, academics putting themselves in a position in October, November when you're chasing a championship, you're not chasing a grade. trying to do all those things that we can to put ourselves in the right position, and the odds are in our favor when it comes time to win those games.
Dominic Crissetto, College Football Dogs and Sunbelt Syndicate. Wy'Kevious, this is for you, and probably for you in an indirect way, Coach. It looks like you have some interest in motorcycles, so I want to know how much you actually ride and how much your coach probably loves the fact you're riding around on a motorcycle.
So, prior to college, I worked on motorcycles a lot, and I also rode a lot, riding across states and stuff like that. But, with Anthony Mostello passing, Coach Womack kind of pulled me to the side and just said, let's not bring this lifestyle around these players, and, we don't want anything happening to our players on a motorcycle and stuff. So now the bigger side of me is push that to the side to football. Yes, sir.
I got a question for both of the players. Going into this camp, you guys are about to go into it. What is kind of your personal goals to build that locker room and to really come into this season with a good culture?
Just to be a more vocal leader instead of like just trying to lead off actions. Just try to bring the people alongside me like up also, and just be a more vocal leader. That's all.
Kind of reflect off what he said. Just using your voice more. With you being an experienced player, you have younger guys to come in there and look up to you. So, that's the main thing. And just getting everybody to do their job and focus on technique and finish.
Zoom question both for Coach and particularly for the players. You're picked only 5th in the West Division, but a lot of close teams between 2nd and 5th. Do you use that as a motivating factor?
Honestly, I don't pay much attention to polls, political polls, sports polls, any polls. I focus on these guys. I do not care what they're talking about or who's voting. I care about these guys day to day, academics, weight room. Motivation comes every day, knowing you have a job to do and you have people to serve. That's the motivation, not from a negative place if somebody thinks less of you. I mean, hell, if we're being honest, I felt like that my whole life as a competitor. I've never been the front runner, so that doesn't change. It's just do your job, be your best for Bubba, be your best for Jamaal. Same thing with our staff. We'll go play the games and we'll let all that settle itself.
Yeah, back to what Coach saying, I really don't look much at the media, and I really don't let it be a determining factor. Just because if you let the media take over and you're trying to live up to expectations, that it's kind of putting a lot more pressure on you rather than just going out and play your next game, play your next rep, and focus on the thing that you're finna do right now instead of in the future or on the media.
With no other questions in the room,
Thank you.
Coach Wy'Kevious, Jamaal, thank you for being here. We appreciate it, and good luck this season.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
We'll be back in about 15 minutes with the Raging Cajuns from Louisiana.